There's people who don't get boosted and also deplete keys, so it's kind of, yeah, whatever, I guess. I can use gold from token to buy carries. Yes, that's against TOS. It's not against TOS, no. It's against TOS to do RMT, real life money trading. Boosting is 100% allowed. You just can't boost for real life money. Tokens are not real life money, right? Because, I mean, it is for you, but in the end, you're not trading the token, you're trading the gold. It's pay to win if you consider getting boosted winning. Like, did you really win if you got boosted? What did you win? What is it you won? I feel like in PvE, this whole boosting thing is not that big of a deal because you can't do anything with the gear that you have. You know what I mean? Like, it's different in PvP. PvP is a different story. But in PvE, like, let's say somebody bought so many boosts. Let's say you get boosted to 446 item level and you got boosted to 3.4k score and you get boosted to Mythic Sarkarath, right? Let's say you get all of these boosts. And then what? Like, what is it? What then? Like, you have the item level and you have the score and you have the achievements, which is nice for you, but it doesn't affect anyone else negatively. It's like, I don't care if you get boosted. Like, so what? I couldn't care less. Like, it doesn't affect me negatively in any way. If you queue up for one of my keys for M+, and you underperform horribly because you got boosted everywhere, well, then the key is depleted. And then we remove you from the group. And that's it. It's like, okay, you depleted a key for us. There's people who don't get boosted and also deplete keys. So it's kind of, yeah, whatever, I guess. So I feel like in PvE, it doesn't really affect anyone. As I said, PvP is different, but in PvE, I just couldn't care less if you get boosted or not. Because I played a game for the challenge, right? And if you just get boosted through the challenge, then what's even the fun in playing anyway? At that point, you might as well just play a different game. The one spending more money always wins. I mean, that's just incorrect. I didn't get boosted at all. And my character is certainly higher geared and has more score and is doing better than anyone who spends a lot of gold. Like, there isn't any gold in the world I could spend to get better, like to get a better character. What would I even buy? I'm not saying it's not pay to win. Pay to win depends on the definition. Many things can be considered pay to win. Almost every single game that exists has some element of pay to win if you take, like, depending on how you define pay to win. Because pay to win is like a word or like a phrase that we kind of came up with, but there's no real definition of the word. If you like really far-fetch it, that almost every game has pay to win. Like, even League of Legends, you could say, well, if I pay money, I can level my account quicker, and then I can get rating quicker, and therefore it's pay to win because I managed to play level quicker than somebody else, or I can buy the champions that somebody else cannot buy that is not paying money, and then I win with those champions, right? So technically, even League of Legends can be considered pay to win. Lots and lots of games can be considered pay to win if you just define it very, like, strictly and, like, far-fetched it, right? In a logical, rational sense, League of Legends is not pay to win, right? If you rationally think about it. Because once you have all champions and once you have everything unlocked in the game, there's no extra money you can spend to get the higher rating. But you can spend money to get all of the champs unlocked quicker, which, depending on how you define the phrase, you can consider that pay to win. League is all equalized, but it's not. League is not equalized. If you start playing League of Legends right now, you have like 8 champions you can play, or like 10 or whatever. If I start playing now and I spend a lot of money, I can unlock every champion, and then it's not equal, right? I'm not saying that League of Legends is pay to win. I don't think it is. CSGO is... Yeah, CSGO is not something you can argue necessarily that it's pay to win. CSGO is probably the least pay to win game that exists. That is like a multiplayer game. If you like really far-fetched it, you could say that certain skins are like better, but that'd be a very, very far-fetched argument. League and WoW are skill-based games. If you can't play your champ, it doesn't mean how high item level you have. Or, I mean, I would argue that World of Warcraft is definitely different. Like, I do see the argument sometimes in World of Warcraft specifically, because WoW is not a pure competitive game, right? WoW is also about like collecting stuff, like gaining achievements and collecting transmogs and mounts and whatever. And you can argue that spending gold on boosts can give you things quicker that you wouldn't otherwise get, like mounts and stuff like that and achievements. But like, even though it is true that you can do that, there is no like competitive aspect of the collecting part, because you're collecting for yourself. Like, whenever, like, as a collector, like, there's no ranking list or whatever. There's like, oh, this is the person with the most pets or mounts, and this is the second most mounts, third. Like, there's no ranking list or whatever. So therefore, you're just kind of collecting for yourself, right? Like, as your own kind of goal. It's not something that you compare yourself to others necessarily on a ranking list that gives you better rewards just because you have more. So that's why it doesn't necessarily matter that you can buy certain mounts and certain pets and whatever, just because it doesn't affect anyone if you do that. You're ruining your own fun if you do that, right? Because you're just collecting for yourself, for your own gratification. So if you're spending gold instead of doing something yourself, then you're ruining your own gratification, which, if you want to do that, then go ahead and do that, right? What if two people would like to raid? One bought a boost last week and got an achievement, but the other didn't. They raid leader checks for achievements and invites the guy with the achievement. Is that pay to win? I mean, if you far-fetch it, technically yes, but like, you're arguing that the other person couldn't get into a raid at that point. Like, just because you get declined for this one raid doesn't mean that you get declined for every raid. This argument is not real. It doesn't really make sense, right? Because those two people that are queuing up for the raids, I assume it's a pug that they're queuing up to. First of all, there might be many other people who have this achievement, not just this one boosted person. So the other person that does not have the achievement might not get invited either way. If this specific situation is true, where one person got a boosted achievement and the other person doesn't, and it's only those two people that are queuing up, and the boosted person gets invited, it doesn't mean that the other person that didn't get invited cannot ever get into another raid. You know, like, you have many opportunities to get into a raid. You have a full week to find a raid. It's a weird argument, and I don't think you're getting declined to raids for 7 days straight just because there's people that are boosted that are queuing up at the same rate as you are. And even then, this person that gets invited, the one that was boosted, that person also needs to perform in the raid, because if they don't, they might just get kicked again, right? Because it is true, getting invited is easier if you have achievements to show. But if you're not performing, then no one's stopping people from kicking you, right? I mean, either way, like, I'm not necessarily arguing that WoW is not pay to win at all, because I definitely think there's many factors that you can consider pay to win, but not in the highest rankings. In my opinion, pay to win is only really a relevant talking point if it actually helps you in the highest end. Like, if you somehow, like, if spending real life money helps you to somehow be like in the top 1%, then I do think it's a relevant topic to talk about. But in WoW, that is just not true. Like, spending money does not at all make it easier for you to be in the top 1% in, like, when it comes to raid REO score or mythic rating. Like, you cannot get invited to Echo or Liquid or whatever just because you spend gold. That's just not how it works. And same goes with getting high score in a plus. Like, you're not gonna get high score in a plus, or you don't have an easier time getting high score in a plus just because you, like, bought some boost or you spent gold or whatever. Like, that's just not it's not gonna help you in any way, right? I do think spending money, or not necessarily money, but spending gold for boosts, I do think helps you to, like, get to your skill level in rating. like, because pugging in WoW is generally very toxic. Like, you don't get invited if you don't have score or achievements to show for you. So let's say you're a really good player, but you didn't play for like 2 months this season, but you know, like, you're really good at the game. So for you to get invited into groups, it would technically make sense for you to buy like a boost or two to get some like rating. You wouldn't be getting like 3.6k rating or whatever, but you could you know, you could let yourself get boosted to like maybe 3k or 3.2k or whatever, and it's just so you get invited to certain pucks like quicker. But you can also get the rating easily yourself if you're good at the game. Right? Like, it's not necessarily needed, but you can do it. Also, a lot of people are buying boosts just because they don't like a certain type of content as well, which I personally don't think is bad, because WoW has all different kinds of content, right? WoW has Arena, WoW has Solo Shuffle, WoW has RPG, Mythic Rating, and Plus, right? It's all different kinds of content, and some people like one or two parts of the game, but not the other. Like, there's some people who only like playing in Plus, they don't like raiding or PvP. There's some people who only like playing Arena. There's some people who only like raiding, right? And if there's something you can get in another aspect of the game that is best slot for you, then you might be buying a boost for it just because you don't want to put time and effort into getting it yourself, even if you have the ability to do so. Like, let's say somebody only likes playing in Plus, but they're really good at the game. Let's say they're like super good at the game, and they could technically do Mythic rating. Like, they would technically be good enough for it, but they don't want to do it. Like, they just don't like it. Then this person could buy a boost and try to get some items from the raid because they need it for M+. Like, in my opinion, that's not like a bad thing necessarily, because this person, because doing Mythic raiding is a big commitment, right? Mythic raiding means you have to join a guild. You have to raid 2, 3, 4 days a week at a certain time. Like, it's not just like you don't just snap your fingers and are like a Mythic raider, right? It's a big time commitment, and you have to put a lot of effort into it. So if you don't like it, like if you absolutely hate raiding, then I personally don't see an issue with this person buying a boost for it if they need a certain item. Yeah, you can buy the 0.1% title. You can buy the title. But again, then you bought the achievement. You didn't make yourself better at the game, and you didn't get better gear. That's just buying an achievement. I don't think buying an achievement is necessarily a problem, because who cares if this person has like 0.1% title? If they don't have the skill to be good at the game, they got the title, that's it. In League of Legends, you could technically pay money to get boosted to Challenger, right? And then what? Like, yeah, you have Challenger and you can brag to your friends that you have Challenger. But as soon as you queue a game with them, they'll realize you're not actually Challenger. So it's like, okay, now what? Now, I know that it's not allowed to do that in League of Legends, but I'm just saying, like, I'm taking it as an example. You can't get boosted to Challenger? Yeah, you can. Of course you can. Someone just needs to play your account, yeah? That's most pay-to-win games. I could probably be a top player by spending money, but spending money makes it easier. I mean, in what sense, though? Like, in World of Warcraft, like, is it easier to be a top player by spending money in WoW? I don't think so. Unless you start late. Then I think so. Let's say you start playing 3 months into a patch. Then spending money is gonna make it quicker for you. But if you start at the same time as everyone else, then spending money is not gonna make it easier for you at all. Like, if you start, let's say you start playing at the start of Dragonflight. Like, Dragonflight just came out, and you start playing the game. Spending money is not gonna make anything, like, it's not gonna make you a better player in any way. It's not gonna help you with anything, right? Like, what is it gonna help you with? I don't see anything you could spend money on that actually helps you out, because people are not boosting at the start of an expansion, right? People are not boosting mythic rates until until quite some time in. So at the start of an expansion, you can't really pay for boosts or spend money on anything that would give you an advantage, really. Yeah, that's what I mean, Big T. Like, if you reroll later in the expansion or later in the patch, or you start playing later in the patch, then spending money is definitely going to help you to catch up faster. If you spend money on boosts or whatever. But at the start of a patch or at the start of an expansion, spending money is not going to help you with anything. How many crafted pieces are you using right now? Are you arguing that you have to spend money on crafted items? You're arguing that anything that you have to spend gold on, you couldn't do without spending money? Because, like, that's just a weird argument, though. I mean, you have to play the game somewhat to get your gear anyway, right? If you only spend money, like, let's say you start playing at the start of Dragonflight, and you somehow manage to not do anything that gives you gold whatsoever, and now you want to craft an item, and you have 0 gold. Like, I don't know how that would even happen. Like, you cannot... I personally think it's not a good argument to say that anything you spend gold on is like the equivalent of spending money. Like, I don't think that's an argument you can make. Because yes, of course, you can buy gold with money. But by just playing the game, you earn gold, right? Some people earn more, some people earn less, of course, depending on what you do. But arguing that everything that costs gold is automatically paid to win, or like is automatically costing real life money, is just like, that's just a bad faith argument at that point, because you make gold by just playing the game, right? Like, what are you gonna do with the gold that you make? Like, you will just automatically get gold, and then you can do things with that gold, right? You can craft items with it, and you can buy consumables with it. It's really only one competitive aspect of the game, and that is Freeze Arena, and you can buy your way to rank 1. I don't think you can necessarily buy your way to rank 1 without account play. Because buying boosts in PvP is legal, right? Like, it's not against the TOS, but you have to play your own character. And then there's a limit to how high you can go, because you're one of 3 people. I mean, I bought a PvP boost at the start of... Wait, what was it? Shadowlands? Yeah, in Season 1 of Shadowlands, there was a PvP weapon. Like, if you were 3.4k rated in PvP, then you got a really high item level weapon that was better than any mythic weapon up until the last boss. So it was actually really, really good to be 3.4k rated in PvP. So I bought a boost in Three's Arena for 3.4k to get that weapon. And I had to play my own character. And of course, if you play with 2 really good people, then it's so much easier to get to the rating, obviously, right? But if I have no hands, then I probably wouldn't have been able to get boosted 2.4, right? Like, obviously, I'm not good at PvP, but I do press my buttons in somewhat the correct order if they tell me what to do. And that's how we managed to get 2.4k. If they play with a person that absolutely does not know what to do, then there's a cap at some point. At some point, you just can't get any higher, because the other people cannot 2v3 the enemy team every game, right? So as a third person, you have to do somewhat play correctly. There are boosts where they play your character for rank 1. Yeah, but that's not allowed. That's what I'm saying, Thunder. That is against the TOS. Like, we're not talking about things that are against the TOS, because there's many things you could do if you just ignore the rules. I mean, I know that account play is a thing. That has been a thing since... I might have done that once or twice, don't tell anyone. Back when they didn't actually care about it.